Hello there, you're watching All 24 News, World News program with me, Kiran Zachary, and up next are the top stories. One Palestinian has been killed in a ceasefire violation yet again, and 2 paramedics were injured in the attacks across the West Bank. A UN report says there were around 300 Zionist attacks in the West Bank in just 1 month. Coming up next, in Morocco, protests continue against normalization, with activists accusing the authorities of targeting opponents as a watchdog group says parliament is shielding corruption. Also in our news, in Sudan, the army says it shot down an RSF drone in Al Obeid and tens of thousands have been reported dead in North Darfur. The UN warns hostilities are escalating in both Darfur and Kordofan. And later on, Ukraine accuses Russia of a large-scale attack on its energy facilities as Moscow resumes nuclear tests and NATO calls on its members to strengthen nuclear deterrence. The details are straight ahead. Welcome back to the details. First up in our news, Israeli occupation forces launched new airstrikes on Gaza early Saturday, killing 1 Palestinian in Al Buraij refugee camp. Heavy shelling hit Khan Yunis in the south and eastern Gaza City in the north, while several homes were demolished. The Palestinian Ministry of Health, meanwhile, says 241 people have been killed and 614 wounded since the ceasefire came into effect. Hospitals have received 10 bodies and 6 injured in the past 3 days, bringing the total casualties since October 7, 2023 to more than 69,000 dead and over 170,000 wounded. The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza says they've received 15 more bodies of prisoners released by the occupation through the Red Cross, bringing the total return to 300, with 89 identified so far. In return, Hamas said that Izzuddin al-Qassam brigades and al-Quds brigades handed over a body of prisoner recovered in Khan Yunis on Friday. This marks a total of 25 occupation soldiers' bodies returned under the ongoing prisoner exchange agreement. And in Deir el-Balah, 1 widow and her 3 children have no choice but to share a cramped bus luggage compartment with 4 others struggling to survive in harsh and unbearable conditions. Here's Salman Asib.
This old bus has become a shelter. Its luggage compartment now serves as a home for a Palestinian widow and her 3 children, along with 4 other people. There is no privacy, no space for the children to play, and thousands of families share this same tragedy. Before the war, we were renting a house. My husband accepted any job he could find. The days went by and then the war broke out. He went out in the afternoon trying to escape, but unfortunately he never came back. For many displaced families, the genocide has swept away everything, destroying every trace of normal life, leaving behind nothing but rubble and scattered memories. I was sleeping under the tree alone with my children. I begged the school officials to let me stay there, but they told me there was no space, that everything was full. Then the neighbors said to me, "Come live in the bus, there is nowhere else to go." Life in a bus speaks for itself. I pray sitting down, because I have neither freedom for space. The children have turned this platform into a swing, because there is nowhere here for them to play, nowhere they can have fun. In this abandoned bus, they play, they laugh, as if the world around them has never exploded. But in Gaza, the silence of a ceasefire is fragile.
نزحت لهذا المكان لأنه ما لقيتش مأوى.
I was displaced here because I couldn't find any other shelter than this bus. I have neither a tent for a home. Even my family's house in Jabalia was destroyed by the bombings. I can't return to the north because there is no transportation and nothing is left there but rubble. In any case, I don't even have a tent to set up there. And in a place where hope seems buried under the ruins, the laughter of Israel's children becomes something greater than joy. It becomes resistance, resilience, and the quiet promise that life somehow will endure.
Tensions in the West Bank flared again on Saturday. Occupation forces and settlers attacked Palestinian communities, leaving about 15 people injured, including paramedics, journalists, and international activists. Clashes erupted near Olive Harvest, south of Nablus, while in Al Khalil, one Palestinian was wounded. Occupation forces also carried out arrests and forced evictions in Jenin refugee camp.
The settlers attacked us, they beat us, the journalists and the people. After beating us, they threw us off the mountain. We were near settlement area, which is illegal, of course. We were attacked by almost 20 settlers. They attacked foreign activists and journalists. Many volunteers were injured.
Meanwhile, the UN Human Rights Office says the toll on Palestinians in the West Bank keeps rising. Over 1,000 people have been killed during the genocidal war on Gaza, including more than 200 children. Speaking from Geneva on Friday, a UN spokesperson called for accountability for the Israeli occupation of settlers and urged an end to the attacks on Palestinians. The UN is sounding the alarm over a sharp rise in settler violence in the West Bank. Last month alone, 264 attacks were recorded, the highest monthly toll in nearly 20 years. Since October 2023, over 3,200 Palestinians have been displaced, entire herding communities emptied, and hundreds injured, some by live fire even.
Turning to the West Bank, OCHA warns of a sharp rise in settler violence against Palestinians, both in frequency and severity. Last month, OCHA recorded 264 settler attacks that caused casualties, property damage, or both. That's the highest monthly toll in nearly 2 decades of record keeping, averaging more than 8 incidents every single day. Since October 2023, more than 3,200 Palestinians have been displaced due to settler violence and related access restrictions. Entire herding communities have been completely depopulated. People have been killed, hundreds injured, including with live fire, and many more have lost access to their livelihood.
Elsewhere in the Middle East, in Lebanon, occupation airstrikes killed 5 people and wounded 11 others on Saturday. 2 brothers died in a Shaba in Nabatea, while 2 more were killed in a car bombing in a Rashay al-Wadi in the Bekaa Valley. Another person was killed and several wounded in Barashid Bint Jbail, with additional injuries near Salah Gandour Hospital in the south. Moving on to Morocco now, where protests and marches continue in support of Palestine and Gaza and against normalization with the Zionist entity. On Friday evening, activists held a sitting in front of Parliament in Rabat, calling for the closure of the so-called Zionist liaison office. They also condemned the ongoing occupation violations of the ceasefire in Gaza. In Morocco still, human rights groups are calling for a full investigation into the death of anti-normalization activist Siana Sidan. Sidan died on Friday, 3 months after being assaulted, with the Moroccan Association for Human Rights saying the attack may have been an assassination attempt. Meanwhile, the Moroccan Front for the Support of Palestine is urging authorities to ensure transparency and accountability in the case.
Siana Sidan passed away at dawn on Friday, November 7, 2025, from severe injuries sustained in what appears to have been a deliberate attack several months ago. The assailants remain unidentified but are believed to be linked to agencies close to the authoritarian regime in Morocco, a regime that has long suppressed and silenced free and dissenting voices. Among those courageous voices was Sian, who never hesitated to expose the regime's abuses and its betrayal of the Palestinian cause.
In the same context, Mohammed Al-Ghallousi, head of the Moroccan Association for the Protection of Public Funds, slammed the parliament for shielding corruption. Speaking to CAP TV, he accused lawmakers of violating international anti-corruption agreements and interfering with the judiciary to protect officials who exploited their positions.
Will the public prosecution move, as it has done on similar occasions, and have less so to move judicial investigations regarding what happened on Sunday evening, November 2nd? Or does Ahmed Tuwaisi also have immunity, even in acts of chaos, bombing, bullying, swearing and slander? Will we see a clear and frank position issued by the party of authenticity and modernity regarding these dangerous and unprecedented practices?
In related regional news, the Polisario Front says the Sahrawi people won't enter talks that ignore their right to self-determination. Speaking at the In the Sahara Film Festival, the representative in Spain, Abdullah Al-Arabi, stressed that the only way forward is a free and fair UN-supervised referendum.
The Security Council resolution does not adopt the Moroccan proposal as a solution, and it is not in line with the Sahrawi vision, nor does it reflect the biased news and propaganda disseminated by some media outlets, because the resolution stipulates and confirms the extension of the MINURSO mission for 1 year. This means that the United Nations is still responsible for the decolonization of Western Sahara, and to date, decolonization in Western Sahara will only be possible through the organization of a self-determination referendum by allowing the Sahrawi people to vote in a free and fair referendum that enables them to determine their own future.
And in another story back home, the Algerian army Ghazat al-Jaish is calling for national unity as the key to building a strong, secure, and prosperous Algeria. In its November editorial, the Ghazat stressed that unity, solidarity, and cohesion are essential to preserving the homeland and its sovereignty, following the example of the November 1st revolution.
It is our unity that strengthens our resolve and fortifies our arms to build a new, victorious, strong, prosperous and secure Algeria, especially in light of the regional and international tensions and conflicts, and the overt and covert conspiracies and malicious schemes being plotted against our country, which attempt to target the security, stability and tranquility of our nation and its people. The great victories that our country has achieved throughout its triumphant journey were forged by the unyielding iron will of its noble people and its valiant army, and by an unwavering commitment to maintaining unity and cohesion, and a firm conviction that national unity is the solid foundation and the sure guarantee for preserving the homeland, consolidating the pillars of its security, stability and progress. This unity has always constituted and continues to constitute today the crucible of true patriotism in which the Algerian people and the National People's Army, the heir of the National Liberation Army, are fused together.
Algeria and the Czech Republic are stepping up cooperation to tackle climate change and major disasters. A delegation from the Czech Fire and Rescue Service, led by General Vladimir Vicek, is visiting Algeria this week to share expertise and strengthen coordination. The visit focuses on exchanging best practices in disaster prevention, early warning, and crisis management.
You
will have the chance to take a look at the administrative and operational organization of Algiers civil protection, as well as the national disaster management system. There will be a visit to various operational specialties within Algeria's civil protection.
I
am very happy that we had a possibility to show you situation and organization in the Czech Republic, that you had a possibility to visit as well our trade fair exhibition Pyros this year, and you can see as well our organization, you can see our techniques and our equipment. And that was the main reason why we discuss for the closer cooperation between our both countries, because it's quite obvious that both countries are close not only to the fire rescue service but as well to the civil protection.
On its third day, the International Fisheries and Aquaculture Exhibition in Iran saw several partnership agreements signed between the Algerian Chamber of Fisheries and local and international economic players. The deals aim to boost investment in infrastructure, develop fishing fleets, strengthen processing industries, and increase the value of seafood products.
Several agreements have been signed to benefit the fisheries and aquaculture sector. Just moments ago, we witnessed the signing of an agreement between the Algerian Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture and the company of Manormo for the sale and maintenance of marine engine equipment. This agreement comes into effect starting today, aiming to support professionals in the fisheries and aquaculture sector in purchasing engines and renewing their motor equipment.
Algeria has launched a major seawater desalination project in the province of Tlemcen, set to produce up to 300,000 cubic meters of drinking water per day. The project, overseen by the Algerian Seawater Desalination Company, a subsidiary of Sonatrach, and carried out by Consider, will cover 15 hectares. Once running, it will provide water to around 3 million people across the province of Tlemcen, Sidi Bel Abbas province, and Saida province, ease pressure on dams and groundwater, create jobs, and boost Algeria's expertise in desalination. This is part of a broader national plan with similar plans in Schliff and Mostaganem provinces. Moving on to Sudan now, the army says it shut down a rapid support forces drone targeting civilians in El Obeid, North Kordofan, as tensions rise between army-controlled Khartoum and RSF-held Darfur. Meanwhile, the Refugee Coordination Office reports that over 1,300 people have been wounded fleeing El Fasher since late October. Disturbingly, more than 150 women were assaulted. Over 1,200 children face severe hunger, and nearly 700 elderly people are in critical condition. In Sudan still, the Minister of Human Resources, Mu'tasim Ahmed Saleh, says the rapid support forces are still committing atrocities in El Fasher, trapping civilians and subjugating them to abuse. Tens of thousands of people have already fallen victim, with 50,000 displaced now arriving in Adaba.
The crimes of the human race committed by the Secret Service militia in El Fasher are beyond imagination. Human beings were slaughtered like livestock in a horrific act of celebration. Tens of thousands were killed. The coming days will reveal the victims of this unimaginable atrocity. Many citizens remain trapped in El Fasher, forbidden from leaving the city as a means of humiliation, punishment, and torture.
On a similar note, the UN's top human rights official, Volker Turk, is sounding the alarm over rising violence in Sudan's Darfur and Kordofan regions. He says civilians in El Fasher are trapped and continue to face horrific atrocities, with no sign of the fighting easing. Turk called on the international community to act urgently to stop the violence and push for a ceasefire. On a similar note, life in El Fasher has turned into a nightmare under the RSF takeover. From the very first days, residents faced drone strikes and close-range gunfire. The survivors are describing horrific scenes in this report by Karim Mustfawi.
Since the fall of Al Fasher at the end of last month into the hands of the Rapid Support Forces, many Sudanese have been forced to leave their homes. Here in Al-Laba refuge, many survivors recount horrific scenes, civilians shot in the street or attacked by drones, others beaten to death and left in pools of blood.
I saw it with my own eyes. In one place, I counted 40 people. One of them was still alive, but had a broken back and a leg torn off. The women, children, and elderly people, like me, don't have weapons. The innocent people were in their homes, the citizens were in their homes, and some couldn't go out. They were killed in their homes. Those who went out to the streets were targeted by the drones and a lot of bullets. 50 or 60 people in a single street, or 10 or 20 people, they kill them, bang, bang, bang.
Just like other survivors, Jum'a is one of many Sudanese forced to flee Al-Fashir who witnessed terrible violence. She reached Al-Daba refuge with her children, but tragically, not all of them made it out with her.
They killed soldiers, set cars on fire, beat people up. They did everything. My 2 sons are in the army and I haven't been able to find them.
To this day, many reports warn that countless civilians are still trapped in Al-Fashir, living in constant fear of executions and enduring severe shortages of food and medicine.
And when I say besiege, I actually mean physically besiege, with the berm surrounding the city, with starvation being used as a weapon of war, with every single request to send humanitarian assistance into the city of Al-Fashir being rejected, with traders not being able to cross into Al-Fashir and replenish markets.
Since October 26, videos showing rapid support forces killing civilians and targeting those trying to flee have raised international alarm.
In another topical news story, Ukraine has been hit by a massive Russian assault with at least 3 people killed and 11 wounded in strikes on Dnipro and Kharkiv. President Zelensky says Russia launched hundreds of drones and missiles targeting energy infrastructure, forcing all state-owned power plants to shut down. Kiev is calling on all allies for stronger sanctions, while Russia claims its air defenses shut down 178 Ukrainian drones and reports taking control of towns in eastern Ukraine amid the ongoing clashes. For his part, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Russia hasn't received any explanation from Washington regarding President Trump's recent comments on resuming nuclear tests. Lavrov added that Moscow is moving ahead with President Putin's directive to prepare proposals for potentially restarting nuclear testing.
It isn't clear whether President Trump meant tests of nuclear weapons carriers or what are known as subcritical tests. Russia has not received any clarifications regarding the resumption of nuclear testing. As for the directive issued by President Putin during the Security Council meeting, it has been approved for implementation and is currently underway. The public will be informed of the result of this work.
Meanwhile, NATO says it's ready to deploy up to 800,000 troops to Russia's borders if needed. Speaking at a German military conference, NATO Commander Alexander Zollfrank highlighted Germany as a key hub for the alliance. He warned that any delay in deployment could undermine efforts to deter Moscow.
Ich habe den Auftrag und die Ehre zugleich heute.
In the event of a conflict, Germany would become a central launch area for NATO. Within a short period, up to 800,000 troops with their equipment from various countries could be deployed through Germany toward the alliance's eastern flank. NATO realizes that if the deployment of its forces is delayed, uncoordinated, or poorly executed, its deterrence against Russia will fail.
For his part, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is urging member states to show their nuclear capabilities more clearly to boost deterrence, especially against Russia. Speaking to a German newspaper, Welt am Sonntag, he called Moscow's nuclear rhetoric dangerous and reckless, stressing the need for a strong and united response.
It is important that we engage more with our societies about nuclear deterrence to ensure they understand how it contributes to our overall security. When Russia uses dangerous and reckless nuclear rhetoric, our people must know there is no reason to panic. Because NATO possesses a strong nuclear deterrent capability to maintain peace. NATO's nuclear deterrent is the ultimate guarantee of our security. It is important that our deterrent capability remains credible, assured and effective. Putin must understand that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought.
The US is facing a record-breaking government shutdown, and it's already hitting travel hard. Hundreds of flights have been cancelled as airports deal with fewer air traffic controllers. Yasin Orikti reports now.
As the government shutdown stretches into its 37th day, anxiety fills the air at Washington's Reagan National Airport and the bustling lobby, where travelers wait nervously, fearing the flights will be cancelled amid growing chaos in America's skies.
I think the shutdown is terrible, and it's affected my travel in that I woke up this morning not knowing whether or not I could take my flight to California. Had the added difficulty of the airline flight or the airline website being down, and I couldn't determine whether I should even come to the airport. I'm here now and relieved that my flight is on time. I hope that Republicans will come to their senses and negotiate with Democrats to get the government open again, and that they stop all their nonsense and horrible cruelty to people and act decent and care for all the people in the United States.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration has moved to cut the number of flights at major airports, citing a severe shortage of air traffic controllers. Because of the budget impasse, many controllers have been working without pay for more than 5 weeks, pushing the system to its limits. Adding to the turmoil, US President Donald Trump on Friday called on Democrats to reopen the country, as the United States enjoys the longest government shutdown in its history. Trump blamed Democrats for blocking funding bills, noting they have voted against the measure 14 times, and warning of a fierce conflict if the right to filibuster were removed.
I don't know. It's up to the Democrats. The Republicans have voted 14 times to open up the country, and the Democrats have voted 14 times to hurt the country, really. They should approve it, but they might not. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done. So it's a good thing.
At the same time, the US Senate rejected legislation that would have resumed paying the salaries of hundreds of thousands of federal workers. The bill fell short of the 60 votes required to advance, despite union pleas to ease the hardship faced by ordinary Americans. At the same time, the US Senate rejected legislation that would have resumed paying the salaries of hundreds of thousands of federal workers. The bill fell short of the 60 votes required to advance, despite union pleas to ease the hardship faced by ordinary Americans.
This is what's happening. People who are terrified of what's going on. So we have this moment in time. We're ready to work through the weekend. We hope our colleagues are as well. So let's get to the table. I hope the president comes and meets with us. The amount of money we're talking about here is about the same as the money that went to Argentina. I'm not going to relitigate that.
Are the Democrats deaf? Do they not hear from the people that they're putting in these situations? This is their shutdown. This is their Biden budget they're not voting for. They voted for this 4 times over the last 19 months, and now they won't because their far left wing tells them not to.
For now, the political divisions and public frustration deepens. The shutdown's impact grows day by day, from grounded flights to unpaid workers. It is ordinary Americans who continue to bear the weight of a government that has come to a standstill.
And it's time now to catch up on other news stories making headlines in the News in Brief with Sofian Kantouri.
Libya's High National Elections Commission announced Saturday that the start of voter card distribution for the third phase of the 2025 elections. The process covers 9 municipalities, including Tobruk, Benghazi, Sirte and Sabha, with calls for citizens to collect their cards ahead of the vote. Hungary's foreign minister said President Trump approved a full exemption from U.S. sanctions on Russian oil imports. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán confirmed the planned U.S.-Russia summit in Budapest remains on the agenda as possible meeting site for Trump and Putin. North Korea's defense minister threatened further offensive action, condemning recent US-South Korea defense talks and accusing both of plotting stronger deterrence against Pyongyang. Seoul denounced the missile launch and called Pyongyang's criticism regrettable, urging it to halt moves that rise tensions. The Navy said the career visit was only for resupply and crew test. A fire at a perfume warehouse in northwestern Turkey killed 6 people and injured 4 others, one critically, Turkish officials said. According to Reuters, the blaze broke out Saturday morning in Dilovasi area and took about an hour to bring under control. The governor's office said the cause was not immediately known and that the investigation has been launched.
And that's the end of our news for tonight. To catch up on any part you missed or get the latest updates, you can always visit our social media platforms. On behalf of all 24 News team, I'm Karim Zachary. Thank you for watching and take care.